Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tabletop Unboxing. I'm your host, the Board Game Nerd, and today we're going to be looking at the brand new Ultimatum cards that recently came out for the Ikoria set. These cards are expensive to cast, but are exceptionally powerful once you get them off, and will be the last game changer you will need in order to win your game. However, not all of these cards were made equal, which is why we're making this video today. So I can show you what the cards actually are, what they do, and what I think they personally are ranked in terms of power level and usefulness. So with that in mind, let's get started. Let's begin with the weakest of the lot, Inspired Ultimatum. A card which ironically was the last one to be unveiled, but is also the weakest one of all of them in my opinion. For 7 mana you're able to gain 5 life, you're able to reduce an opponent's HP by 5, as well as gain 5 cards inside your hand. Looking at it from a standard point of view, it's a very weak card to have, and it will just clog up your hand until turn 7 that you're able to actually play it. The ability to draw 5 cards mid-game in order to restart your hand is an exceptionally good ability to have, but there are many cards that can do it much better and for a lower price point. Because by the time you're able to actually play this card, you will use up all your mana to gain 5 life and 5 cards, and who knows if you'll be able to even survive the next turn with the additional 5 life in order to play any of those 5 cards. Because for all you know, your opponent could be holding one of the other 4 ultimatum cards, so unless you're able to use Fires of Invention and literally benefit from the cards that you've just drawn, there is literally no reason to put this card inside your deck because it's very slow, it's very costly, and there's no reason to have it. Commander-wise, this card is not good at all. There are better draw engines and there are better ways to gain life. This particular card tries to do both, and it seems to be failing on both fronts. That said though, this is literally the only bad ultimatum card that has been released in my opinion, and the next 4 are just, amazing. Coming in at number 4 is Ruinous Ultimatum, a card that is capable of destroying all the non-land permanents your opponent controls. This is basically in Garruk's Wake, except it's 2 mana cheaper, however there is more variety of mana to pay in order to get it to activate. Now it shares all the common weaknesses that in Garruk's Wake had, which is that it only destroys all non-land permanents. So if there is any permanents that have the indestructible keyword, or more so than ever now, that they're able to get the indestructible keywords through keyword counters. And that's the reason why this card isn't higher on my list, because if it was able to exile all non-land permanents that you don't control, then it becomes a fucking amazing card. Simply because, though we haven't seen anything like it, it's only for a 7 mana cost, and you don't have to worry about any indestructible keywords because it just banishes straight off. It is not an essential card by any means, but it's nice to have a copy of it inside your collection. And if you're playing Standard, I can easily see this becoming a win con, where you just play it, then you wipe out the entire board, everyone's devotion is at 0, so all their enchantments turn back into literal enchantments, and then you can just swing at everything to go for lethal. But in terms of Commander, I don't really see this being much of a game changer. It's just another nice card to have in terms of board wipe. At number 3, we have Emergent Ultimatum, a card that is basically a fact or fiction, where you get to look at 3 cards inside of your deck that are monocolored, and then your opponent will select one of those cards. That one card will go back into your deck, shuffled, and you'll be able to cast those 2 cards for free during this turn. This is an amazing return for value. For 7 mana, you're able to get 3 cards that probably cost roughly the same amount. You're going to get more mana in return than you will spending it. So if you manage to play 3 cards that are the same, they have no choice but to give you duplicate copies of it. If you're able to play 2 cards that cost 7, 8, or 9, your medium is going to be like, I don't know, more than what your initial value was. There's literally no downsides to have this card inside your deck. It is an amazing card that lets you seek out personally what cards you want, and then force your opponent to choose one of those cards to fight against. And even if it's giving them a little bit of choice, you can limit the amount of choice that they have by picking the same cards. But the one thing that I would say about it is that it doesn't give you the freedom to choose multicolored permanents. I'm guessing this is a failsafe in case you try to take cards that are actually other ultimatum cards and then they'll be able to just keep constantly rolling on the ultimatums. And that's the reason why it's not in there. But as it stands, it is a really, really good card, and there's no reason for you not to try to get a whole playset of this when it comes out. Standard-wise, I can see this becoming kind of a win con, but since the games are so short, you probably won't get enough benefits out of it to actually merit putting inside your deck. But Commander-wise, this is an amazing card to have, because if you're against a common enemy, like an arch enemy, or someone who's just incredibly ahead of the game, you play this card, pick an opponent, and that opponent will just choose the lesser of 2 evils and give you all the benefits that you ever want. And this is what I like about the card. It will bring you back from a fail game state into possibly another win state. At number 2, we have Genesis Ultimatum, and you won't be surprised as to why this card is number 2. Because for 7 mana, you're able to draw the first 5 cards of your deck and put them onto the battlefield straight away. Otherwise, you put them onto your hand. They have to be a permanent, however, so you can't use sorceries or instants. That means, though, that you're going to have artifacts, enchantments, creatures, and just so many things go into your board, including lands. Now, this is kind of like the Inspired Ultimatum, the first card on this list. However, instead of getting a 10-point life advantage, you're able to trade it for potentially a lot of ramp. Imagine getting 5 lands from playing just one card. The next turn you have 13 lands to do whatever you want. Or maybe you drew a bunch of creatures. And if each creature costs 1 mana, then fair enough, you had 5, so you're missing 2 mana, but rarely will you draw 5 1-drop creatures. So what you want to do is just get a mix between lands and creatures and artifacts. That way you get most of your return for value into there. And this is why I put it so far up my list, because the potential to ramp up with 5 lands, the potential to get a bunch of powerful monsters into the field, is just a recipe for a great comeback story or just overwhelming victory against any of your opponents. In terms of choosing that potential, as opposed to getting a 10-point life advantage, I think one is clearly better than the other. Finally, at our number 1 spot, we have Ikoria Ultimatum. For 7 mana, you're able to retrieve any number of permanents from your graveyard and put them straight back onto the field. And note, I said the word permanent, not creature, meaning that you can get artifacts, enchantments, and creatures, and just a whole mixture of everything back onto your field. Fill your deck with a bunch of Enter the Battle triggers and be able to double up on the triggers when you summon them back onto the field. Or you can make your graveyard a second deck by just milling yourself, getting a bunch of card advantage, and then able to just summon them all up in one sweep in order to finish off anyone who tries to oppose you. One thing that I will say about this card, even though it's a very good card to have inside your deck when you're able to pull it off, obviously, but there are a bunch of cards coming into the meta, and just into the Ikoria set, that are able to exile your entire graveyard, thus making your entire strategy mute. But essentially, having a free-to-cast Command the Dreadhorde on my side of the field only is still very good to have, and it's too good to pass up. Rounding up, I can say that these cards were created with Commander in mind. If we look at the cards objectively, we can see that these are some powerful abilities. However, they benefit most when there's more players playing them. They are printed at the rare difficulty, not a mythic. This means that Wizards of the Coast is definitely trying to make these cards accessible for all Commander players coming into it, and giving you a bunch of new cards to access that you probably wouldn't have access to if you're just starting to play Ikoria and Commander this year, which is what they're trying to do. And I, for one, am very happy with the direction they are coming in, because they're making staples a lot cheaper, they're giving you more options, and at the same time, they're giving you they're giving you more options to play than just the standard format. Overall, I don't see these cards becoming too prevalent in standard. I can only see them comboing very well with maybe Fires of Invention, then you can combo up with maybe 2 of them. Maybe you can play an Adventures deck and use Fey of Wishes to grab one of the cards from the sideboard and then play it from there. And that's it for our video today. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe for more Board Game Nerd content, and be sure to comment down below your thoughts and feelings on these new cards. I would love to hear your thoughts and feelings towards them, as maybe I missed something, maybe you want to start a debate, who knows. I'll be uploading my next video based on the Commander deck list that just recently came out in the upcoming days, so be sure to tune in for that. So, until next time, everyone, be sure to take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all later. Bye! How's that?
Yeah, that was good.
That's good. Thank you, thank you.